Welcome to the Outer Realms with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey for the last 4 years. So thank you, Folgers. We're so appreciative of everything you're doing for us. We could not do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justice Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for his contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro that you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror and sci-fi, dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Big thank you also to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror genre and does phenomenal commission pieces of any sort, including graphic novels. So tonight we welcome back Constance Victoria Briggs, who brought us The Moon's Galactic History, a look at the moon's extraterrestrial past and its connection to Earth. While she's continued her exploration into our cosmic connections with her companion book, Earth's Galactic History and Its Extraterrestrial Connection. So I don't know, but it sounds like everything that would be up our alley. Anyway, how's it going, Bubbles?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. Been a day, but I'm okay.
It's always been it's been a year. It hasn't been a year, but it's been a year.
It's been a year already.
It's been a year.
You know,
It really has.
I know.
It really has. Hi, Doreen.
Hello, Doreen. Hello. Yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy week for people. I noticed even in the chat room, it's just been a little bit
Yeah,
been a
just
little more quiet than usual, you know. But that's okay. You're all entitled to go out and do things. It's a shame it's on our show night, but you're all entitled to go out and do
please
things.
don't go out on our show night. Wednesdays and Thursdays, you should stay home.
Stay home. I know.
We know that the USA is listening on FM. Hello to all of you. We know that. Michelle mentioned 107.7 and 105.3. We know you're listening, whether it's on your way home and during traffic or it's the evening, and we're grateful to you. Right. And we do have a lot of downloads and archive listens as well.
Right.
But when there's show and tell, you guys have to catch us on YouTube.
Show and tell. Yeah, it's really difficult, I think, when there's so many videos and photos being shown, because let's face it, you can't hear it. You know, you can explain it, but you just don't really get the full gist of it unless you're really watching it. So that sort of makes it hard. But it was one of those shows last night.
It was. I love show and tell. Show and tell used to, I remember in school, I loved show and tell. Maybe it's like the way I love movies. I get to sit down and watch something. I don't know what it is. But I do love it. And I love learning. I'm learning so much about all of the ETs and the power. I didn't know any of that before.
There's a lot of stuff to learn. I mean, we learn so much from our guests, just like our listeners learn from us and learn from our guests. And it's always exciting to see what they're going to come up with, for sure it is. And you never stop learning. It's amazing how, you can find so many little tidbits of information on the same topic, but that you've never heard before. because we have a lot of people that come on and they will touch on certain things, but yet there's always new information coming up, which is really fabulous. I think when we do the fun shows, like next week we've got Mark DeWodziak, and he's going to be talking about all these mysteries and stuff that surround the Twilight Zone. Everybody loved
Mhm.
the movie The Twilight Zone, but there was always some weird stuff that went on with that whole thing as well. So it's like,
Yeah.
so that's going to be one of those laid back sort of fun shows, and sometimes it's nice just to kick back. And we don't have a Q&A like an open mic in May. We don't because
Didn't even look at that.
no, because we kind of double booked on something. I was just like, oh, that won't be a
Hi,
thing.
Dolly. How you feeling, honey?
I know.
Oh, sorry, you're sick.
I know. Well, we might have one on the 29th. We'll see.
Okay. Well,
29th right now
something-
is up in the air, and I'm going to play with it.
something happens where someone can't make it, or for whatever reason they double booked. Hi, Lady Spiderwood.
Yeah,
Then we
there's-
throw one in.
Yeah, but
They're a lot of fun.
I think we're going to. Yeah, I don't like to not do them. So we're just
No.
waiting on our guests to come in, guys, and then we'll get the show on the
Lots
road. I
Of
know.
kisses for Dolly.
I
Lots
know.
of healing energy. My gosh, honey.
Oh, that's not good. Hello, that's not good. It takes lots of bed rest, and hopefully you're getting it. So get that bed
Yeah.
rest, Dolly.
My gosh. Hi,
I know.
Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Yeah, but send us if you're on Facebook and you do use that platform of social media, please come by and give us a like on our group page, and let us know if there's something you want us to bring in, or if there's something you want to talk about on our Q&As, or if you are a person who has something to share with us as a guest, then you can email Michelle from there. There's a button there.
There's an email button. We've had even a lot of guests come on and contact us and say, "Oh, we got your email and we want to come on." I'm like, "Yes, it's a party. Let's do it." But without further ado, the lovely Constance Victoria Briggs is in the house, so we're going to bring her forward and get the party started. Hello, Constance. Oh,
unmute.
You're muted.
Hi,
it is.
beautiful.
There it
Hello,
is.
beautiful lady. How are you?
Thank you. You ladies are beautiful.
Aw, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I have to tell you a quick little funny story. I was telling my husband that I've been on this show a couple of times, and you're both Auburn. Although Amelia,
not anymore. I'm
Not
back
anymore,
to my
no.
black.
I said, I should one day show up in an Auburn wig.
I know.
Oh my gosh, you can still do that.
It would
Yeah,
be fun.
I went back to my hair color is actually naturally black. It's I don't know. I always say it's part of my Spanish
Well,
background.
it looks
But
great.
thank you. I got tired of it. That's all. I just
Oh,
got
It's hard to keep
tired
up.
of the maintenance. Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
I
It's hard
love
to
it,
keep
though.
up. Hi, Claudette.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love the look. I always love your background. So my husband's always trying to light me, right? I'm like, take the light away. Could you see? I pulled up your video. Do you see them? Do you see their lighting?
It's dark. Leave me alone.
I still didn't achieve it though.
I
know.
always get yelled at because
Yeah, maybe
I get yelled at because mine's too dark.
I like
Not by
it.
Michelle. Not by Michelle. No,
No,
we had guests on one time, and Alex and oh my
Steve?
gosh, yes.
See, yes.
I had like a little brain tooth there, and I loved his lighting, and Chad Kalick as well. And I'm like, I want to do this. This is so cool. Like it goes. I used to have really bright light. It goes with the theme, and it feels so relaxed because it's late here, and
It's almost
I
like
love
having
it.
toothpicks in your eyes. It's just so much light, too much light.
I
We're
love it.
vampires.
Yeah, some of us
Yeah.
don't do well
I've
with
got
it.
on my little necklace my daughter gave me for my birthday. I call it my little
Aw,
witch.
happy
I'm very witchy. I'm
birthday.
actually very witchy. You wouldn't know. I
Oh.
love
I love it.
all the witch books, and I wear black all the time. And
Oh, me too.
Oh
There's
well,
no-
you fit
There's
right
no
in.
other color.
No,
Or
Sorry?
No, there
shade.
isn't.
Shall we shade? I get corrected. It's a shade.
It's a
not a color.
I
shade.
have all
All right.
kinds of blacks. I have
It's
Jack
black everything.
black. I have casino black. I have
Black.
No, I love it. My
black
mother was
black. I have great
before
black.
before my mother passed away. She's like, "Why is your hair so big? Why are you wearing black, girl?"
Oh,
Girl.
really? You're not the boss of me. Stop it.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. I know. But you know what? We've been really looking forward to this. I am going to put up this copy of your book because it's an exceptional cover. Like, wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
It
Yeah.
really is.
I like it.
There's
You
so
did
much. There's so
genuine.
much in it. Honestly, that makes you think. That's
Yeah.
what I like about it. It makes you think. I like the pyramid in the background, all lit up. And there's a lot in this cover, and there's a lot of information that I love that you touched on, because when you read the whole write-up on the book, it's like, oh my God, you touched on so many different things, because there's stuff all over the world. And I figure after you did the moon, if you could do the moon where the pickings are really slim, you get lots of information, but it's not like here on planet Earth where you can actually go to some of these places and really have a good look at them. So what made you decide to do a companion book?
I was getting questions from people. They loved the moon book, and they were quite fascinated, but they were like, hey, what's going on Earth? I'm hearing all this stuff about UFOs, and Congress is having hearings about UFOs, and what's that about? And then, do you know anything about extraterrestrials? For the ones who are interested.
Right.
There's not, that's not everybody. And it's certainly not everybody around me. But,
Wow.
Yes. I'm kind of radical for my neighborhood anyway. But I was literally getting letters and emails from people, with questions. And I thought, maybe I should just write some of this stuff down and, make it a Earth's companion. And then I had the thought that for the people who haven't heard this information, that it's kind of creeping up on them. We're hearing about congressional hearings going on, it kind of crept up on some people, and like, what? So anyway, this book takes us to the beginning of human history, as far back as I could go, and kind of takes a journey on with Earth through the ages with UFOs and extraterrestrials until today. I try to touch on every part of the Earth that has been touched by extraterrestrials, which is really surprising for people to hear, when I talk about, besides the air, the water, the inner Earth, and in other places you would not have imagined, jungles, etc. Anyway, so that's why I did it. I wanted to answer people's questions, and I wanted people who were not from, didn't even have questions. Once they started thinking about it, they'd have something. But I tell you, there is just so much. It couldn't all go in one volume. I'm working on another one.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
But it's
Beautiful.
touched on a lot. And I put in a lot of the more popular true accounts that can easily be researched. Some of the stuff in here you haven't heard, but a lot of it, are familiar to those of us who have our hands in it. But even then, I talk about it and people don't know what what it is.
There's nothing more satisfying when they're asking for more.
Yeah. I got a email the other day. Someone said, "Are you going to do a book on Mars?"
Wow.
Are you going to do one on the sun? You mentioned the sun having mysteries. You're going to do one on the sun? I'm like, okay, I'm noting that. I don't know.
Maybe you could do a chapter.
Not that much about the sun, but
like the Milky Way. Something. It makes it hard to break it all down, because they touched, they've touched everywhere. They still touch everywhere, even far beyond our galaxy. But I love the different things that you did touch on. So you mentioned the planet as being like being seeded here, like a cedar plant. So tell us about that, because that gets into a little bit of exopolitics and people get funky with it, But I think, you know what? It makes a lot of sense, really.
I mean, I've been having this little, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scientist, but
Yeah.
I've been having this little discussion with my husband and my son for a few years now. And I just give up because, they're like, they're all about evolution.
Of course.
You know, and I'm like, trying to tell me that the bumblebee and the elephant came from the same place? I don't think so. It doesn't make any sense. And so, but it's evolution, Mom. It's evolution. The science says it's evolution. No, to me, it's not making sense. So I have, my own little ideas and my own little theories. And it's not, I've learned that it's not just, my little ideas. There are actually, credible people who are talking about the fact that Earth could have been terraformed in the past.
Yes.
That's my idea and theory.
Mhm.
And they're saying it, so I guess that maybe it's not such a dumb idea.
Right.
If you listen to the men in my household say
I
it.
know. It's not just like a mom and wife idea. It's
Right, right.
Right.
What? Oh, honey, it's too hot inside the earth for people to be living there. I'm like, but there's all this information. Anyway, we'll get into that. But yeah, so the idea that I put in the book is that someone out there, an advanced race of beings, set their sights on either our solar system or Earth specifically. And because they are advanced, we've got beings, I believe, that are hundreds or thousands or millions or billions of years ahead of us that have that kind of science and technology that might be able to terraform a dead planet, bring it to life, bring in life from other worlds. And if you look at the life here, to me, it's just so vastly different. And, as far as humans living here, I mean, we've got a whole reason to believe that could be the case, but because they said, we're the top of the food chain and we're the most intelligent and we're smartest.
No,
But
we're not. No.
We've got so many things going against us here on Earth. Even spider bites can kill us. So we're not, we're not at the top. Anyway,
We're fragile.
I think the humans are
fragile.
doing the worst
Yes.
damage, but that's another show.
I know.
Doing the most
No, we
damage.
are.
So,
Yeah.
so there's something called the panspermia theory. There's a name for everything, and this is the idea that extraterrestrials out there seeded, our solar system, and tried to see where intelligent life would land. And then there's the idea of directed panspermia, which is setting sights on the Earth and specifically doing that here. Now, what's fun, and I've done this in my books because people like sci-fi and they seem to be able to, identify with it. And so I talk about an episode in Star Trek. I've been on here before and I mentioned that I love Star Trek. I bring it up a lot, okay?
Yes.
But they did do a movie where they did terraform a planet. Yes. And I put that in my book. And this planet was beautiful when they did it, but eventually something went wrong and everything died. And I just, I wrote, I wonder if Earth could be a failed experiment. Everything here dies, and it dies fast. So, I did put that in, but I was very glad to have that as an example so people could say, maybe there is a thing to that theory that did not come from Star Trek. It was already out there.
It's very interesting.
Right. It is. I mean, as far as, human beings as a smart species, we're destroying our own habitat. Technically speaking, it's not very smart. We can't get along. We hunt other species to extinction, sometimes for sport. We don't, on an average, and I'm just generalizing. There's a whole group of very aware, people who understand the value of our planet and we're all sentient beings here. Right down to a tree, a flower, I think it takes certain kinds of people to grasp that idea.
It does. And it requires growth, time, experience. And, I say that when I look outside, I can kind of see where the theory is, not only for the terraforming, but
Mhm.
also for the genetic manipulation of animals. And
Right.
the story is, that humans may have come from genetic manipulation of primates
Mhm.
crossing with an extraterrestrial DNA.
Mhm.
Because now I'm going to try to tie this in, because
Ah,
when you
uh,
look at the Earth, in my backyard area, we are overlook what we call the greenery, or kind of a canyon area, and
right.
it's kind of always encroaching, on our yard, and we're always battling to keep things kind of cut back off of us.
Right.
And I can just see how the Earth could have been an earth-wide forest of some sort. And then
Mhm.
humans seem to have come in and, we've cut in roads and built these buildings. And,
Mhm.
the animals here, we've got coyotes and mountain lions and
Right.
bobcats, and they're kind of seen, they're seen,
Yes.
here and there. And you can just see where us, came in
Mhm.
and kind of
Push
almost
them
like
out.
we didn't
It's
belong
really
here.
it's
Right.
really sad. It's really
Yeah.
sad. If you can see those type of animals and you don't live in the mountains, it's sad. That means that you've taken away their home.
Oh, yeah, it's
Mhm.
bad. It's bad, and people are move here. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
in SoCal, and they're in shock when they see a bobcat. The mountain lions kind of stay off to the side. I'm actually in
Mhm.
San Diego, guys. I'll go ahead and say it. And we do see mountain lions, in
That's
San Diego.
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I haven't seen one. Other people have seen them. I
That's
never get there in
insanity,
time to see
Constance.
them. Huh?
Right.
Really?
Right.
That's insanity. I would expect that in Northern California,
Mhm.
but not.
Oh, yeah. No, they're here. Certain areas, like, just a few miles down the street, I've been told you can hear them.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've only seen the other things, rattlesnakes and stuff. I've never seen the, mountain lions. But my point, and how I
Mhm.
tied it into the book, is that it appears that we don't belong here, that we didn't originate here.
No, we're the invasive species.
We're the invasive species, and it appears that we were brought here or created here,
Right.
not at the beginning of where all life started, I
Right.
believe, as we
Right.
have been taught. And that I attribute to advanced extraterrestrials out there.
Mhm.
Now, when I start talking about extraterrestrials, people, I get enthusiastic people who love the idea, but then a lot of people are thinking gray aliens, because the icon for
Mhm.
extraterrestrials are the gray aliens everywhere. That's not
Yes.
true. They
Right.
don't all look like little
Ghost
green men,
boys.
little gray
Yeah.
aliens
Mhm.
that,
Right.
created humanity. All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So I wish we
Yes.
could change that somehow,
Right.
but no, there's different beings of different types. I've got several books here that people have put together from other people's descriptions of extraterrestrial beings they've come across and seen. And this goes back to the beginning of our history. So the
Right.
book finishes, that chapter on panspermia, talking about terraforming.
Mhm.
And, I don't know where you're going to go, Michelle, but you know me, I can keep talking. So
Go, 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 girl.
let you
Go,
bring
go,
it on.
go. The stage is yours. Go.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so chapter 2 kind of picks up where the terraforming leaves off, and it goes into the human origins. And it's not only that, the idea is that we may have been genetically manipulated and
Mhm.
combined with ETs, but also that we ourselves might have been some kind of biological AI that was created, that
That's
became
crazy right there.
right, right.
Because we're living in the age of that right now, which means it would be, if you go by that theory, you're looking almost like a resurgence.
I know it's
Oh,
very,
crap.
and it's just a theory. And people will go,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, she should stay in science fiction." But I just think that we should be talking about every theory
Yeah.
and idea, because we don't have the answers. And how are we ever going to get the answers unless we turn things around?
Mhm.
Today, it does seem that the most popular theory outside of the religion is that we were created in a lab by ETs doing the manipulation. That seems to be the most popular
The
theory.
whole Anunnaki thing, right?
The Anunnaki thing.
I mean, let's face it, you're going back to the ancient Sumerians' kings lists, going back like 450,000 years. We're definitely not the first kick at the can on planet Earth. We know it goes way, way back. You know, how many out of place artifacts that are shown being millions of years old or hundreds of thousands of years old? You know that there was someone here that was here long before us, far more advanced, even like pre-ice age. You just go back, look at Atlantis, look at ancient Lemuria.
That's
And
right.
now they're starting to see Antarctica melting off a little bit. And it's like, oh, hey, wait, there's an ancient civilization here, which
So
is why
exciting.
everybody's very protective of it right now.
Right.
Right?
I just, it's fascinating. It'll be amazing to see once, things unfreeze up there, with what else they're going to discover.
Right.
Sometimes I get, so I come from a family of religious people that were Baptists.
Right.
And,
that's hardcore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I grew up
devout.
with it, didn't like it very much, decided at 12, it wasn't my thing.
Dressed in black with my witchy book.
That is funny. I know a lot of people who grew up Baptists and are into all the whole ET thing.
Yeah, see, I don't. My cousins and all of them located on the East Coast really are not.
Wow.
But when I've gotten arguments about things, they'll say, well, we were created, Adam and Eve were created, and they'll, give me the
hardcore. Yeah.
Right. But I do have to tell them, it's interesting because the Adam and Eve story, I'm not saying that, there wasn't a first man or a woman that was genetically made by the Anunnaki. I mean, those stories, the Sumerian scriptures and the religious, the Bible is very, very similar. Where was it going? So,
we're just right, Constance.
You fit right in. That's all I'm saying.
The story is that Cain killed Abel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Cain was kicked out. But before Cain was kicked out, he said, I can't go out there. Why can't you go out there? Basically, was the question, because they will kill me. Those people will kill me. Words to that effect. Who was he talking about? If they were the first, there was someone else out there. If you're going to go by the scriptures, there was someone else there.
I thought he was the first exorcism.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it depends on what belief background that you're in.
But that's what, so who was it? And then he had to be marked. Okay. They, say God marked him so he could go out there and not be killed. That they knew he was protected. So that was very interesting for me. So when I bring that up, people kind of go, So there was someone there. They were advanced beings. If we go back in our ancient past, it looks like the people that we refer to as the gods, or some people just call them simply star people or star beings, lived among us. They walked among us. They interacted with us. They taught us things. I mean, some have referred to them as angels coming in from the sky and teaching us things, but others refer to them as gods. And they interacted. Why they kind of left? They left us on our own. I don't know, of course, but then you have that going back to the Anunnaki, who, for the audience members who don't know the story, that the Anunnaki created humanity to act as a slave race after they came here to mine for gold because their atmosphere of Nibiru was dying. And they brought a race of people with them to do the work, and they rebelled. They didn't want to do it anymore. So they were instructed, the Anunnaki leaders were instructed to create us. All right. So whoever instructed them, if the story is real, and they had the science and technology to do exactly what we are trying to do today with the cloning, with the growing babies, trying to grow them in labs, making the AI. It's not; these are not things that we haven't thought about. They were just advanced enough to be able to do it.
Right.
So,
well, they have longevity. Let's face
Yeah.
it, you have like ancient kings every 28,000 years,
Yep.
then another king would take place. But I mean, the guy was there for 28,000 years.
Wow.
So there is so much that people just don't realize. And I think a lot of it goes back to our ancient indigenous people, because these cultures, like the Hopi, who talk about, the beings that lived underground that helped the people. And in is it Peru or Brazil? There's the same story with the reptilians, and they've erected a statue of a reptilian. So when disaster came, they brought down all these people down underground for decades or centuries, and they're the reptilians help them survive. And that let's face it, the ancient people and the indigenous and even people of today in one form or another will emulate the things that they respected, that they were in awe of, that they had fear of. Hence all of these structures, hence ancient monuments. You have these stargates, you've got petroglyphs, hieroglyphs, statues, pottery, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Going
right.
back so far. So that, that's given us an education, if people want to admit it or not.
Right.
These things exist and they tell a story.
Right.
And I, in my book, so I go into details of the ancient past, and I go into, like you said, the certain cultures and certain countries that had these interactions from extraterrestrials. That's basically what they were, people from other worlds coming here to help us, support us, maybe, take the resources. I mean, that's another story. Maybe there were others coming for resources, but for whatever reason, they seem to have pulled out. At least they are not living in front of us to the point where we're interacting with them every day, even though I believe that some of them are here and have always been here. But I do think others have come in from other worlds and also from other dimensions.
Ah, there we go. That's the word dimension. Stargates, power spots. Isn't it curious how the ancients all knew where to build these amazing henges and these structures that the churches came on to take over? I don't know, call me crazy, but
Oh yeah. I was going to say not all
Not
of them.
crazy.
Some of the governments took those buildings down. I'm just going by what Matt Rose said in one of his TikTok. He said that why did the government take down all of these buildings that were incredible, just beautiful ancient buildings that were built identical to all the other buildings in the world in different countries. They were identical. How could they be identical if we didn't even have who's getting on a boat, who's getting on a plane? We're talking about the 1800s and before that. So yeah, you have to ask your question. I have a question. This is a little bit off because, I'm off, but do you think that, either one of you could have fought with me right there and said, no, Amelia, you're not off. Either one of you said something. Okay, I said I'm off. I'm curious.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you. And
it's like being with family.
We're all off, Amelia.
I'm off.
When you say you're off, I'm thinking, well, we're all off.
I'm off, meaning like, like as you're talking, I'm picking up all the stuff that I want to ask. But this is a curiosity. I have never asked anyone this. Do you think that possibly when we say that they have been around for 100,000 years, or they say they've been around for 400 years, that they counted differently? It could be bigger. It could be less.
Timekeeping, you mean?
Yes.
Well, we're saying it. They're not saying it. We're saying it. That's,
based on tablets, I believe. Yeah.
That's our timekeeping, and the tablets that they have, of course, they did their best. The humans that were people that were writing it down. But I don't believe that. The whole universe is, of course, operating on our time. In fact, the other dimensions
time
don't have
doesn't exist.
time.
No,
right.
it doesn't. But in the Bible, Noah was like how many hundreds of years old, and this was how do we know what they considered a year?
Well, so Noah was what, 900 or something?
I don't know, but how do we know what they
died.
considered a year?
But maybe that is, I don't know. Yeah, I
That
don't know.
longevity.
Because there's different calendars too, right?
I
Right.
mean, I don't know. Look at it this way. It goes back. Many ancient scriptures spoke about, right, extraterrestrial. I think Enoch is your very first contactee, abductee, sperm donor. I'll leave it there because there are references. If you read the book of Enoch, this is pretty much what he was doing, right?
Yeah.
Then we've got Ezekiel's wheel, like there's quite a bit in there, right down to like even really old ancient paintings. Like, do you think they've
Yeah.
been dropping us hints here and there? I mean, you look into some of the old monuments and the tomb of Seti the First with helicopters and UFOs and grays and
Yeah.
right.
Were they throwing us hints? At the time, I think they were doing both. I think they were
Yeah.
recording what they saw. I think that they were also writing down their future, their what was happening at their time for future generations. I do think that they had the foresight to do that, to
Yeah.
leave us information. So that's why we're finding it. But maybe some of the time they were just going about their daily routine and
Right.
building a building, just like we
Right.
built, a
Right.
city hall or
Yeah.
something, and maybe
Right.
not, always
Well,
thinking
I'm
about,
just thinking of Da Vinci, right? Hiding in plain sight.
yeah, some people who knew things and weren't saying it, but were saying it, to leave us clues. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that.
Because he disappeared for 2 weeks and came
Yeah,
back even more brilliant than he already was, and that's when all of his extraterrestrial stuff started coming out.
right. And, there have been hundreds of people that have disappeared over the years that have never been seen again. And
Yes.
some, like you just said, that have gone and come back. And then we have people who are the abductees who just, they disappear and come back and said, I went to a ship and I saw this. Not just abductees. When we think of an abductee, of course, that's someone that was taken against their will, but there are people
Right.
who have had
I'm an
contact.
experiencer. Yeah, I'm an
You're an
experiencer.
experiencer. Some people who had the contact freely got on a
Yes.
ship and went and took pictures and everything,
Yes.
and came back. So I think that the going and coming back has been going on for forever. In fact, I think it's in my moon book. When I was talking about, I kind of tied in a little of Earth's history in the moon book, and I talked about a guy who, back in ancient times, saw a ship land, and he was invited to go aboard, and he went. And that was thousands of years ago that
Yes.
story was told, and
Yes.
it's been handed down.
Right. Right. But
That's
there's
just wow. Sorry. It's
no, go
still
ahead.
floating in my head, like Gregorian calendar, the Mayan calendar. I think it's something that just irritates me that I can't get an answer to. Like, I love to know how things are made. I've always been that person. So this is driving me insane.
The idea of the time,
Timekeeping. Yeah,
how,
it drives me crazy. I used to always think, even as a kid, how do they know how old he It's just stupid. But anyways, I won't interrupt.
I don't know, Amelia. I mean, they did have star beings working with them and giving them information. Who knows what they were told?
That's exactly. Yeah, exactly. Who
But
knows? That's
along
why I'm
the-
crazy.
we had a lot of information. See, this is the thing. This is this is why people think I'm crazy, because this information hasn't been talked about and it hasn't been taught. I think we had a whole lot of information and scrolls in our ancient past
Sure
given
have.
to us by extraterrestrials outside of what we know of religions and the carvings, and the artwork and the
Library of Alexandria.
Right.
Right.
So the Library of Alexandria is in my book, and I
Right.
talk about how the people of the world in our ancient time, as we knew it, everybody who passed through that area were required, from what I hear, to leave, a book or information about their past, where they were from, blah blah blah.
Mm.
I think there was a lot of information that has been lost or destroyed
Oral
or
history, though.
suppressed.
Maybe it
I
was
think
just
that's
never
another
written
book.
down, right? Because it's a lot of ancient cultures would have oral history that they would verbally pass
Oral
down,
history
It's
too.
broken
Right.
right?
telephone.
So
Right.
how much has
I
been
think
lost because they just stopped talking? Because maybe they were, like look at the Mayans. They're just literally annihilated, just disappeared. one year. They were just gone. Invasion, you just stop talking, especially when you're being conquered. You zip up.
Mm-hmm. And I bet you a lot of those scrolls are sitting in the Vatican Library.
Oh, 53 miles.
Yes.
You know, it's 53
Kilometers.
miles.
It's Italy, kilometers. It's a lot more than 53 miles.
Really? I just can't get over that. And, you know, I
Right.
talked about a guy who was allowed into the Vatican, and I can't remember his name. And he was looking for something, but he came across information on UFOs and extraterrestrials.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Got an
you know,
extraterrestrial
it's there.
skull in the
Sorry?
Vatican. They have an ET skull in the Vatican
Oh, okay.
as well.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I think a lot of information was lost in the destruction of Alexandria.
Mhm.
And I think that there are extraterrestrials out there that can give us our whole history. If we
Mhm.
ever make that
Mhm.
mass contact, I think, and we get to know different species, I think that someone knows our story. But for now, we've got to keep talking like this.
Well, because
Yeah.
we're suppressed. Let's look at the ancient library that was found in Romania. Look at the ancient library of Tibet. Look at the ancient libraries that are popping up. They believe there's one under the Sphinx or under one area of the desert in Egypt, and then there's another one that they found recently. I think we still have hope because there are these places that were, I mean, if you think about the Dead Sea Scrolls, they were hidden away. How many other places are untouched and hidden away?
Right.
What does Antarctica have? That's what I want to know.
Oh,
Because
we all want to know.
they are
Yeah.
really hovering around that place, and they know that there was an ancient culture there for sure. They found fresh water and buildings and stuff all underneath the ice. We know it's there, right? So there
Yes.
is hope
Well,
if we
Oh, yes,
allow.
there's hope. There's hope. And
But
that's
on a
why,
need-to-know basis, Constance, and they don't think we need to know. Right.
I like Lady Spider, which she wrote sundials. Maybe they went by 10 sundials ago and 10 full sundials or 12 full sundials. And then somewhere along the line, maybe it changed to days. Who knows? But it's something that I'm definitely going to look into because it's driving me crazy. And it might be your next book, Miss Briggs.
no, it's your next book. It's your
No,
book,
I don't
Amelia.
write.
It's your idea.
I can barely speak. You can take it.
I write much better than I speak too. So I get names and everything. But yeah, no. I mean, I do say in the book that we have to keep talking, and that one day, you know, we will have all of the answers, but we have to start somewhere. For those of us who don't feel like we're interrupting our lives by taking in new knowledge, you know, by churning this stuff around in our thoughts, you know, because there's a lot of people who don't want to look at it. They don't want to face it, you know.
Right.
A lot of
Right.
ostriches around.
Right.
With
I should
anything,
put a comment.
any kind of fear of knowledge of any type. It's head in the sand. But it's okay. They have to do what works for them. Maybe they need to come back and learn it. Who knows? It's their path.
Yes, but I do get people who say, "Oh, Constance, you know, you really have a passion for this stuff. I think that's great that you have a passion," as if
We need wine. We need wine.
huge ships in the sky and congressional meetings is all in my mind, and I'm writing about this as if it doesn't affect them.
Right.
That's just kills me.
Right.
Until they see something, you know.
Oh my God. You kill me.
When you make mention of signs and hints of that they're trying to communicate with us, what are we missing? What are they?
So I think that as I said, from the very beginning, they have been communicating, and then they pulled away. Since that time, they have been leaving us hints of things, but sometimes there has been open communication, which I feel is very, very confusing. Why is that? Why are we getting some what I call symbols, sign signals, messages and clues is one of my chapters,
right?
Where we have to put things together and try to help me keep this thought, because I want to also if communication that we understand. So I'm going to talk about the ones that we don't. So when
Yeah.
I talk about
No.
extraterrestrials, there are extraterrestrials, I think, from different worlds coming in, and of course they're communicating in different ways. Some of them come close, but they can't land because they're not equipped to live in our atmosphere. All right?
Mhm.
So they may be trying to give us clues from a ship. And others, do come in, and then they're able to send messages in other ways, such as, I don't know, channeling and sometimes making a contact with an individual. We have a lot of contactees out of the 50s and the 60s that wrote books and stuff that came across, ETs that could communicate via telepathy, or ETs that somehow could speak. All right.
Well, that's pre the age of this, where we were more aware, right? And
Right.
listening,
Yes.
right? I know.
Yeah. So anyway, some interesting things that has come about, and this is a very famous story. There was, I think it was the 50s, an interrupted broadcast out of the UK. Do you know this one? Brilliant, Vrillon, one of
Yeah.
my favorite stories, because we did not have the technology for that to have been a hoax. So this ET interrupted a broadcast in the UK and said that he was from, a federation. I believe it was the Ashtar Command that he named, and he was giving us a warning to knock it off, with the weapons, and how we were destroying the world, and how we needed to turn around, or we were going to have dire consequences.
Right.
All right. So that was a message that we got that people laughed at, scoffed at, and ignored to this day. And you can still find the recording. And if you look at some of the articles written about it, they let you know there's no way we could have done that, interrupted a broadcast during that period in time. We didn't have the technology for it.
Yeah.
So that was the one that was very interesting, that came straight to our face pretty much and said, you need to change or bad things are going to happen.
Right.
So then we also have the very famous crop circles, and I use this one a lot because everyone knows what they are, but we can no longer call them crop circles. They are crop formations now because they are in all kinds of designs. And I believe that these are created from someone in Earth's vicinity in a ship somewhere, not someone who had, face-to-face contact and said, come get on our ride and our ship and go right around. These guys, whoever they are, maybe they cannot land, but they have been known, people have recorded these balls of light over grain fields, making these crop formations.
Yeah. They're fabulous.
Aren't they beautiful? And
They're fabulous.
And they're the size of several football fields. Like, they're huge, and they pop up overnight. And it's not just wheat; it's all kinds of different grain fields. And it's been like over 50 years that we've been recording them. So when people say, "Oh, it's a hoax," we don't really think people are getting on planes and flying around the world, because it's been like, many countries they've appeared in. Not just
people have seen these balls of light going over them, and while creating,
right.
There have been people have witnessed lights creating these things.
Yes, and
right.
If you're not there,
wow.
Yeah.
But they decipher it. They decoded at least 2 that I know. I'm sure there's others, but I've got only 2.
Wasn't one a response to a message that we sent out into space? And 2 years later was this rectangle crop circle message?
Right. It was it's called the Arecibo signal.
Okay.
Out of Puerto Rico from an observatory. Maybe the observatory was called Arecibo, but it's the Arecibo, Arecibo. You can Google that. Right. And so we send out into space a signal saying what our population was, what our human bodies are made up of, and all of the, our DNA strand and all the stuff. And then they thought that it would be a lot of years. I don't know how many years now, but it came back pretty quickly. But it was answered in a crop formation, and it was Yeah, two pieces to the formation. Anyway, they answered us. They told us how what their makeup is, how many people lived on their planet, and all of the information we gave them, they reversed it and told us about themselves. Science would not accept it because it was not given back to us the way that it came, and it came too quickly. And if they did accept it, then they're not publicly acknowledging it. But what did happen is people did go in there. You've got these independent people who will go in and measure it and document it and take pictures, but no one you're going to see on the mainstream news,
No.
which is really aggravating. So, we have documentation about it. Also, there was another one that I thought when I first glanced it, I thought, oh, someone had created it online. But after doing when I did the research, I was just so surprised that, I was wrong. I thought it was a hoax until I got into it. So this one, is the formation, the crop is two pieces. One of them looks like what we call an alien head. It looks like an alien. Some likened it to the gray alien. I kind of thought it looked slightly different, but anyway, it's a big head where it's looking at us. And then the second piece is a disc, like a CD, and next to him. And anyway, it had like codes, what looked like codes within the CD.
Right.
It was deciphered.
I know that one. Yeah.
Yes, my favorite thing.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So, gosh, I wish I had this. Let me see if I have this in front of me. So it gave us a warning, and give me a sec.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries.
Okay, so it said the message was, beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises.
Right.
Much pain, but still time. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Now, you can Google this and look it up yourself. It's the Crabwood Crop Circle, August 15th, 2002. They did a documentary on it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
That's a long time ago.
But it makes you wonder, because we have messages that get sent out. Do you think we're giving too much information about ourselves? Stephen Hawking warned against it, a lot of brilliant minds have, fearing they, keep saying, remember the Mayans, the Spanish, like, wait a minute. Okay, you might have something there. But on an average, people have pretty phenomenal experiences with ET, right?
Sorry about that. I have to put up my little cliff notes.
That's okay.
No problem. Maybe, Michelle, I was thinking about that, how many scientists oppose and how many scientists don't even look into things. And sometimes I think that there's a fear that they will not be needed because a higher intelligence, so to speak, and the experience will come through. And I feel like that's a fear with a lot of things with ET. Fear of losing control, the fear of being the knowledgeable one and all of a sudden you're not, being proven wrong. I often wonder, Stephen Hawking was an incredible man with a very large ego.
I was going to say a lot of this is about ego.
Yes, with a very large ego, and we can't forget the fact that we know he's been on Epstein's Island. That's all I'm saying. But, it's a tough one for me. Why did he say that? Did he say it because he really feared for us? Or did he say it because he wanted scientists after him to be able to continue?
There's a lot of scientists out there who are full on with ET. I mean,
yes.
Constance, have you heard about the Russian scientists that we talk about? Everybody's doing CE5s. I've mentioned this a few times because I find it fascinating. CE5 seems to be the big thing. Call in, ET, have your experience, meditate in the desert, all this stuff. But Russian scientists were doing this in the 70s and 80s, and they said, we don't have to go to space. We just call them. And they would go to one of their military bases, which had, their some scientific instruments that they would work from, and they would call them forward, and extraterrestrials would come to them.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I know
Right.
that. I know that the CE5. That's what they're doing.
Right.
I haven't tried to do anything like that. And I'm not surprised that we can call them. I mean, they're
Right.
there.
Right.
They're there. They're watching. They know
It's
us.
cool that scientists have done it going back to the 80s and
That
70s.
I
I
love.
didn't know
That
that.
I love.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah.
I
You
did
can,
not know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed something you had said earlier, Michelle, when I was trying to put my book back on the stand here. Do you remember what that was?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Nope.
All right. We're talking about signs and signals. But one thing I wanted to address is one of you said something about us. Stephen Hawking, Amelia, that was you. Was he worried really about us, or was that his ego? I kind of felt that he might have been trying to make a point because he brought up, uh, America's past and, how the indigenous people here were, uh, hurt, killed, put aside and all of this, and that could have happened to us,
Yes, but by
and
which race?
Sorry?
But by which race of ETs, though? That's
Okay, so
that's the answer we don't have.
this is I was going to say, I think that he was wrong because I think that we are protected to a point.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't like it when I say that because we have had some experiences with ETs here that were not positive. But we also have had things going on out there, like reports of asteroids coming really close to Earth and looking as though they were pushed aside somehow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That I've seen.
Yeah. And, heck, the ET's trying to protect us from ourselves by, disarming some missiles sometimes.
Right.
I have accounts in my books going back like to medieval times where ETs were like trying to place themselves, their ships, between warring factions, advancing, people who wanted to clash into each other. Literally, they would place some object in front of them and scare them to death, and they'd, disband. So I know that they're watching, and there are reports of them fighting in the sky. Someone,
Yeah. There's paintings of that.
Yeah,
I believe
paintings.
that.
And one of them was saying how, they used to record history back then so seriously. And before it was even recorded for future people, it was vetted. And so I take it seriously when they heard a voice from the sky. When thousands of people were watching these light beams in the sky, it looked like, going on up there. The voice said, "The gods are leaving." Now, to me, I was saying earlier today that to me that sounded like sarcasm, like someone was trying to come in here and maybe pose as gods again or whatever, and that they were being chased away. And somebody wrote this down in the history book that at that time they heard a voice say that through all that what looked like battling out there, the gods are leaving. So they have, I think that they're here. We've had reports of something called the Galactic Federation.
Yes.
That's here. I think because you have a young species of being, which is us, and we're still kind of stupid. We're still killing each other. And
I like to use the word ignorant.
I can't believe sometimes I'm living on an earth where people are saying, okay, well, those people can die over there in any war because that's a casualty of war. I'm not speaking politically of what's going on now. I'm talking about this attitude through the ages. It's okay if they die. They're casualties of war. So they're watching us. They're noting all of this, and they're waiting for us to grow, and they are trying to protect us from ourselves until that time. I think we have protectors. Now, are there nefarious beings out there? I think there are. I think,
of course, they are here.
Right. And I think that they are being kept at bay, and I think there is an quiet war going on for Earth, for us, that we're just not aware of, unless, we talk about it like this and we look at some of the things going on. Yeah, there's something going on out there. And here's something else really interesting. I wrote about this in my moon book. There were scientists who said a few years ago that there were explosions. It's not funny, but just the thought of it sounds like I'm looking at Star Wars. There are explosions out in deep space that they're witnessing that they can't explain. And they said it looks like a war is going on. Now, nothing to do with Earth, mind you, but that there's something happening out there, and scientists said it. Right. They don't know what it is. But so who knows, right?
But what do you do about the races that were already here? I mean, reptilians have been here long before us. I mean, you can go back to the Dogon tribe. You can go back again to the Hopi. There's a lot of, the Dogon talked about, those from the Sirius star system. But I mean, even now, there are, there was I can't remember the name of the scientist that mapped all of these tunnels under Los Angeles, and that reptilians. I remember reading a story of a woman who heard something in one of her main floor closets, opened the door, and something had broken through because they didn't have basements, right, in this part of LA, and ripped through the floor, and she saw a reptilian humanoid come out of there. And so this scientist mapped it, and he goes, they go on for miles.
What did he do, this reptilian that came out?
He took off right out the door. She's like, move.
Really? Move.
Well, hell, I mean, if there's a tunnel under your house, I mean, they look down and they, like they were able to go down in there. Not that you want to, but I mean, it went way down.
Well, I find it, I'm going to get to the tunnels in a second, but I do find it very interesting that she wasn't hurt. Okay. Right. All the stories we've ever heard about reptilians, she wasn't hurt. Right. In fact, I've heard others say they've come across reptilians. There was one couple camping, and they came across a group of them, and they thought they were being quiet and sneaking up on them. But I bet you, if that story's true, that those reptilians knew they were there. I'm sure they weren't really sneaking up watching these guys.
You have a whole community living above here,
right? And then there was a woman who was driving, who was on like that strip between SoCal and Las Vegas. It's like this desert, and she came across. 66. Okay. She came across.
Is that what you're talking about?
I think so. So. And she came across one. I don't know why she had pulled over, but she came across one, and she said it looked at her, and she looked at it, and she said she felt like there was an understanding that he wasn't going to hurt her, and that he was a peaceful being. Now, that's not to say they're all like that, but what I'm trying to say is I find it very interesting that I've heard stories of people who have seen them that haven't been harmed.
Well, there have been some contactees who have had experiences with them who apparently had very pleasant experiences.
Okay.
But imagine it's like any race, good and bad. You're going to have the good, you're going to have the bad. You're going to have the big Dracos who are, the war machines, I guess, of the species, or of the race. I shouldn't say species, it's disrespectful. But
yeah, maybe I should work on that too.
I know. I've been corrected by by people who think, well, you shouldn't say that because there's a lot of good ones of all races out there, and I'm just like, okay, I've got to stop reading from military articles.
Right. I was actually thinking I stopped using the term alien.
Yes.
A long time ago, and I started using extraterrestrials, but now sometimes I say star people because they really are people, but as far as the tunnels go, all right, so we know about the ones under LA, but apparently there are tunnels all over Earth. Huge cavities, huge caverns, and inside of them, strange beings have been seen, and reptilians are number one on the list. I don't know why they stay down there. I don't know why we don't see more of them. There must be some kind of prime directive in place for them.
Well, have you heard of the one in Malta where a school teacher and an entire class, there's a big cavern there, a cavern system, and they went in a little too far? It's closed down now.
It's in my book.
Never to be seen again. Is that okay? They all disappeared, never seen again. Did they just
I have
It
one
was?
child disappeared, and I didn't have all.
Oh, anything I've read, it was a school teacher and a class.
Okay, all right.
But
I
I
could
mean, I
also
don't
be
know, the
I might be
buried
remembering
article.
it wrong.
Right, yeah,
Do a
no,
film on
there's
that?
I have
I'm sure there's many different, there's many different views on it, or
right,
different,
right. No, it's closed. You can't go in there.
no,
No,
no.
didn't they do a film or something on that? Because I remember hearing what you just said, Michelle,
Mm.
a teacher and an entire class. I
Mm,
thought they
And
did
they
a
just
film
couldn't,
on
yeah,
it.
they just wouldn't go search for them, or they could only go so far and went.
Yes.
So if
That
they don't do a search, then what does that tell you? Is it fear-based or
oh, no, they're being cautious, and they know. We don't live
yeah,
in Malta. We're not gonna get Malta's evening news,
no,
right?
right.
Right?
but they made a film out of that. I watched it.
See, that's just
Yeah.
like there are things there. Ancient people, and I'm gonna bend our minds a little bit, so indulge me. Ancient people lived, you go look through all over the world, but let's go with Europe because so many people lived underground and in entire levels underground, like entire cities where humans would live. And they said, well, humans just carved this out. Do you know how long it would take for some of these specific systems that you can just Google is look up different tunnel systems where ancient civilizations lived?
Right,
Do you
right,
think that they were already there? That
right.
it wasn't these ancient cultures that did it. They just took them over?
They took them over. They were there. Someone created them. I 100% agree, and I actually love those stories, and I would love to go and visit some of them,
Oh
to
yeah.
be frank. But
Yeah.
they are fascinating to look at, some of those underground cities where
Mhm.
people lived,
Yeah, and people who have houses go in and find a door in their basement that leads to miles of tunnels. I'd move. No, I love tunnels. But
I do too.
knowing
You wouldn't move.
I
You would go
do,
through
but
the
knowing what I
tunnel with
know
your
now.
phone and a camera and a flashlight.
Yeah,
You
but
have
knowing
no
what we
fear.
know, I know. It's
You
true.
would
I'm a
go
bit of a
right
meathead like that.
through.
I'd probably want to go explore. But knowing what we know right now and what we're talking about,
Mm,
what would be waiting at the other end? You just go deeper and deeper and deeper.
mhm. So, yeah, no, I see what you're saying, and I believe that we have underground cities there, and I think there's more than one type of being down there, and, it's big. Now, what's interesting is scientists have found water, and
Mhm.
they said that there's more water under the surface, than there are oceans and seas on Earth, and, of course, where there's water, there's life, right?
Right. And
Right.
greenery and trees.
Greenery,
All that.
trees,
Entire
mountains,
ecosystems.
valleys, the
Yes.
entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
And there have been some people who have stumbled upon cities down there, and then they have returned to tell about them. Not very many. There's a couple in my book. Of course, we all know about Admiral Byrd,
Yes.
who
Yeah.
came across, who was taken into a city of, I refer to these guys as intraterrestrials, although we don't know where all of the beings are people, star
Mhm.
people, I don't know what we want to call them now, Michelle.
Right.
We
Yeah.
won't call them
Sky people?
right
Yeah.
species anymore. But yeah, we don't know that they're all the same or where they all came from. Now, the people that Admiral Byrd met said they had been down there for so long, and that they had grown alongside us up here. They were growing down there, but we were interrupted on the surface by cataclysms and had to start over, whereas
Mhm.
they didn't. So they are ahead of us
Right.
by way of technology, and some of the ships that we see may be coming from them.
Right.
There's
Right.
another story that I have in my book of a man who was taken upon a UFO, and he was taken into the ocean and then into a cavern that opened under the water. And then once he got in there, he was taken down further into the caverns, and there was a city. All right. And then he returned with the UFO. They did run an examination on him,
Mhm.
and then he was returned here. That's
Mm.
another account and there's even another man who was a friend of the guy who started the Shaver Mysteries. The Shaver Mysteries were books that came out of the 1950s by a man who said that he visited inner Earth. And the guy, so he came back and he started writing books about like inner Earth. And but anyway, he had a friend who wanted to find where he went. And so he and other friends went, and eventually they found their way down into these inner Earth. And it took a long time and it was hard to do. They did find it. They said that the beings that they ran into said that their ancestors were went back as far as the Great Flood, or a great flood on Earth, and they went down there. And then when they got down there thousands of years ago, there was already technology there, but it had been abandoned. I swear, that's what he said. And
Wow.
it's, you know, so interesting. Now he's talking about way back when, and even further back when they said they found stuff down there and it had been abandoned. Now, here's another thing. Extraterrestrials. Would extraterrestrials from other worlds come to Earth and live inside the Earth? Because apparently it is huge down there, right?
Yeah, reptilians. I mean, were they always here, or where did they come from?
How long they've been here, right?
Right.
And is that the reason that we are seeing reptilian statues and drawings and in stories all over the world for forever, right? For as long as we can remember.
Serpent monuments in South America.
Yeah, but again, why don't they come up more? That's the mystery. If they're there, you know, and are there some traveling back and forth? And is there a prime directive to keep them in check? Because I said it looked like the extraterrestrials had retreated somehow and are not allowed to openly show themselves to the masses of people just yet. But I was going to say, are there extraterrestrials that have come to Earth besides the reptilians that live inside of the Earth or lived inside of the Earth?
I would say absolutely.
So what's interesting is that when you look at the moon has structures on there. And then there's a theory that there are space beings inside of the moon, right? And they may be using both, obviously, the surface and the outside. The idea is that not just is the moon may be hollow, or Earth may have hollow parts, but even the moons of Mars are said to be hollow and may have people living inside of it. So I'm going somewhere with this.
Right.
It has been said that maybe, you know, we are living inside out on the planet, because it would be smarter to actually live inside so that we wouldn't die from worldwide cataclysms, all right? Or being hit by meteors, or, you know, in our case, I think we're protected.
Like the dinosaurs.
So there may be a lot of people under the surface of Earth, is my point.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, if the sun keeps us alive up here, how are these ecosystems thriving under there?
So there is apparently an energy source, and it could have been, you know, brought in by advanced beings. Somebody said there's a big crystal, a power crystal, and
that makes sense.
I believe there is a crystal.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in the yeah.
What about underwater, Constance?
Oh my God! So
I know.
Yeah,
UFOs, underwater cities.
Yeah.
Again, the Russians. There's a lake in Russia that is said to be the deepest lake on the planet, and Russian military was doing an exercise at one time, going back into, again, I think it was the 80s, and they came across aquatic beings that were humanoid, and I think some of the soldiers were killed.
Yeah,
I think they got aggressive, and so that's just a lake. Can you imagine the oceans?
Right.
The oceans.
Right.
Take it away, Constance.
Oh. I thought you were taking it away. Okay.
Just sharing one little story, just to segue you in.
And it is one of my favorite stories. And I wanted to say that this the Galactic History book started with chapter 4, The Oceans, Earth's Final Frontier. That was the first chapter because it was my favorite.
No.
All right. And what inspired that was a story that I came across about a woman who she put this out on social media. She put it out on Reddit, actually. And she did put her name and she put where she worked and everything. And I did look her up, but I didn't get a message back, and I won't say her name. But she basically was saying that she worked for an agency that worked with it was an oceanic kind of agency, and they worked with aquatic animals and stuff. And so they were sent, she and a team were sent to look at beached whales. And I forget the island name now, but these whales were beached, and they had been beached with, and I'm saying that they have been beached with because the locals, according to her, the locals did not do this, but these whales had meat cut out of them, and the meat was the cuttings on the whales looked like, she said, they had been a kind of laser ray had been used, and it was taken out like cylinders. Someone was eating the whales. All right. Someone was eating meat from the whales, and they had weaponry or some kind of gadget to be able to extract the meat very conveniently, efficiently. So, alarmed, the team called in experts to search the ocean in that area. And they observed that area for about a week, and they found humanoid beings in the waters. Now, these were not mermaids and mermen.
Right.
These were humanoid, described as very tall, very thin. They moved differently. They didn't swim like aquatic beings. They didn't swim like us, but they moved efficiently through the water and quickly. And their outfits looked like liquid mercury moving. The suit that they were in. And they fired, like they had sent a submersible down there. That's how they were seeing all of this, and with a camera. And they couldn't, of course, even our submersibles can only go but so far. But these beings fired on the submersible. And she said they were all identical. And she said that they had located habitats and vehicles. Now,
Vehicles.
And she thought that the world should know. But, I don't think that she was supposed to tell it, maybe. And so that's the story. And we can't believe everything we read out there, right?
Oh gosh, no, we can't.
Right? But it was such
Social media is proof of that.
Story. It was just had me enthralled. But I put it in, and I did, give that, I did say, this is where it came from, and I don't really do research like that, blah, blah, blah. But it was so similar to the story that Michelle just told. Michelle, that story is in my book.
Wow.
And so I thought I could tie that in together because of the description of the beings. All right. These beings that the Russian Navy came across somehow fired on them, or they were knocked out of the water. So basically they went in on a training. They were training, found these beings, came out, said, we found some strange beings down there, sent back in to try to capture them. They tried, and two of them died in the process.
Yes.
And then I think the others are still, in.
Well, it's hostile yet primitive in a way. There was an article I just read recently where somebody went down in a submersible. I don't know. I can't remember what they were looking at because it just caught my eye briefly, and it just came to mind now. But he went down, and he could see down through part of a crevasse in the ocean. He said he seemed to go down a level from where the water or the ground was, and went down a little bit more, and could see down through a crevasse a light and what looked like a dome over like city lights.
Cool.
Isn't that amazing? Don't you just love it?
I do love it. And I mean, I don't know how much merit you can put into it, but
Mm.
it really was fascinating to read because he goes like, he knew he couldn't go any further. There's just no way we can go down that far.
Mhm, mhm. Well,
Well,
someone can.
Yeah.
I find it amusing that they think Mariana's Trench is the deepest part of the ocean. How would they know that?
Mm-hmm.
How would they know that there isn't somewhere deeper? I don't get it. How do you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I laugh
know.
when I see that Mariana's Trench is the deepest, part of the ocean. I'm like,
Yeah,
you
I'm
have
trying
no
to.
clue. There could be caves. There could be
Many-
anything that leads to so much more.
There
The
is, because many
oceans are
contactees
crazy.
talk about being brought underwater and they come
Yeah.
out in bases somewhere.
Bases
Yeah.
and around
Mhm.
the earth in the deep waters and even the deep seas.
Yeah.
UFOs. Well, once they submerge, they're USOs.
UFOs. Yeah.
And and Russia, by the way, speaking of Russia,
Right.
they declassified a lot of their UFO
They
information.
did?
50% of it was USOs. They've
Mhm.
seen a lot of USOs over there, to the point where I have one story in there where extraterrestrials were in a ship and they were coming down from the ship and going, out of the ship, not in the ship, and going into the
Yes.
ocean. And there were people standing on the side watching them, come and go many, many years ago.
Yeah.
So they are said to be around the earth. Now, why would they be in the oceans of all places, right? Because
Why?
the idea is that they're trying to avoid humanity because we
Sure.
are warring.
Boring. We can be horrific. We're nasty.
All we're
We're
going to do is
mean.
see something we
Yeah.
don't like or don't understand it and fire. People fire on each other,
Mhm.
right? And they scare easy when it comes to things that are not familiar and unknown, which is why I think there should be some sort of education when it comes to the idea of extraterrestrials and what could be out there and
Mhm.
what we could encounter someday. And more people seem to be encountering strange beings, because I'm seeing beings because there's that word again. because I'm
Beans
seeing
is okay. Yeah.
beings is okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Beans
All right.
I've just been corrected on it, man. I'm just practicing what being politically correct. That's all.
Yeah, but we do need to, I think, tell people, because
Right.
what happens is they don't believe it. A lot of people don't believe it until they see it. I had one guy many years ago that I went to school with, to high school, that I hadn't talked to in ages. He was a art director at CNN. And he found out from the internet that I was into this, and he contacted me and said, I was in, visiting a girlfriend, staying over at my girlfriend's, and I was coming out at 2 a.m. in the morning, and going to my car, and there was something hovering over a house, and he beat it back into the door. He's banging on the door,
Mhm.
she opens it, and then other people are coming out of their houses by then, I guess, had made the racket. Somebody called the authorities, and they said, oh, it's a weather balloon. And he says,
What? Are we
but
still
it
working with that old
wasn't.
story?
Yeah, I think
But
that
it
answer is
wasn't.
just like on a button on the computer.
No. It's like we're going back to the Roswell days. The
Oh,
weather balloon. Say
Yeah.
it.
just
Say it.
ridiculous. It's
Okay.
just
Okay.
ridiculous. They really
Yeah.
think we're that stupid.
But that's the point. They do, and here's something else. I mean, how many of what we're seeing is ours and not
Right.
ET?
Yeah. I have no idea.
You know?
There's I who would, because they don't tell us anything, right? But
Right, right.
there's a rumor that we've had high tech for years that can fly. What was his name? It was a gentleman. Can never remember his name when I'm on a show for some reason, but he worked for Lockheed, and he said we had Star Trek technology,
Mhm,
for
mhm.
a long time. We've been there and done that, but it's not made privy. We're not privy
No, of
to
course
that
not.
information, but it's not all us, because
Mhm.
these UFOs go back for, thousands of years. And we've got pictures even in cave drawings. There's one that I believe this was in Greece, somewhere in a cave, that someone found this disc-shaped ship with two what looked like gray aliens coming out of it, with a instrument and with cattle running in front of the ship.
Right.
So, I mean, for anybody who thinks that all the UFOs out there could be ours, maybe it's not, because we've just got too much history with it. But some of them maybe are high tech, that for defense purposes, they're not letting us know. Or if there is, with the SSP, which I don't know a lot about, keep hearing about it, but, maybe they've got something going on there, but it's not all us.
Right. We're going to hold for one moment, and we're going to do our station and sponsor ID.
Absolutely. I get there.
Thank you.
And then I have something I have to say, or I'm going to forget.
Yes, and I'm sorry. The banner just cuts around the bottom of your face, so I haven't been rolling it.
Let me see if I can fix it. Hold on.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
No,
I'll
it's
just have
not
the
you.
website
It's our
there.
screen.
I do
It's
it
our
this
screen.
way.
Yeah,
That's the most important part right there. So
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 107.7 FM, as well as the Gulf Coast on 105.3 FM. We are live on the Roku channel right now, and our archives are there as well. Our special returning guest and friend tonight is Constance Victoria Briggs. Earth's Galactic History and Extraterrestrial Connections is what we're discussing tonight, her latest book. And I'm sure there'll be another one, because there's even more questions now. I love this whole thing. If you're just tuning in, don't worry about that, because you can stream our archives on any platform you normally use. Search United Public Radio and then The Outer Realm to find us. Remember to click like and subscribe, and add us to your playlist so you never miss an episode. Kindly share us with your friends and family. We are growing. We are almost 3 million millions strong live, right, Michelle? Every show. And who do we have to thank for that? Well, there's a few people, but we're going to start with Folgers Coffee. Thank you for your continued support in sponsoring our show. We absolutely adore you. It's 4 years. Wow. Thank you. Yes. Our fabulous banner and promo media is courtesy of Steve McGinnis, horror illustrator, incredible artist. Steve creates commission pieces as well, and he can be found on Facebook. Thank you, Steve. Our intro and outro, and this is the word I love saying the most, it's courtesy of Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, award-winning composer, vocalist, and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp. Stream them on any platform, as well as when you're doing your Facebook and Instagram stories. You can find Dr. Snick on Facebook and Instagram as well. And he's constantly dropping little clips, and really, I love his videos and pieces of his music. He's fantastic. Thank you, Justin. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll never miss a show if you hit the notifications. If you're watching us on a Facebook page, please click like. And if you're on Facebook and you haven't yet, please come by the Outer Realm Facebook group page and hit like, and let us know what you'd like to see and what guests or what conversations you'd like to have. We look forward to your contributions. We love the chat. Thank you so much for all being here. And again, a reminder, if you're watching us right now on YouTube, hit like.
Right there.
Right there. So I just wanted to say really quickly, because I saw this when I was doing some research earlier. The behavioral panel, if anybody's ever watched them, and they're going to be on TV right now, is a group of 4 men who are the top behavior analysts of the United States. Former Navy SEALs, like we're talking, they worked with CIA and above. They just put out a video, and I haven't watched it yet, analyzing the moon landing the interview with the astronauts. So I thought, since we're talking about, and I see in the in the chat room, it's always a conversation of, did we land, didn't we land, didn't we land? Let's just be kind and respectful to each other.
Right.
But if you're curious to see what they found, you can find them on Facebook. It's the Behavior Panel. They are phenomenal. I have a lot of their books, and I study, and I want to take their course, but they do a lot of what I do when I'm working. So I learned so much from them, but this shocked me, because normally they are analyzing serial killers and things like
This is
that.
outside the norm for them.
This is very outside the norm for, I was really surprised to see that little moon landing. Was it real? I'm like, what?
Ah,
That was weird, because
that's always going to be the big magical question, I
right?
think. And
But
they're
I'm
gonna have
interested to
people on both
see.
sides and
I mean, yeah, see, we didn't land on the
Chiming in,
moon,
right,
Kathy.
right.
Yeah. And then there's people who believe we really did, and we were kicked off.
right,
But
right.
I don't know if they're the ones who landed on the moon, but I do believe someone might have. So
Well, there's all
anyways,
kinds of
I'm
something
looking
up there,
forward
for
to that.
sure.
I thought, Constance, you might like that. Take a look at that. Did
Okay.
you see it, Kathy?
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
As a Star Trek fan, you must have heard the story about Gene Roddenberry meeting with the Council of Nine. And the Council of Nine, basically, I guess, was instrumental in him putting together Star Trek with men and women, humans working alongside different extraterrestrial races. How would the public handle seeing something like that? I think it was pretty darn well received. But anyway, the story goes that he was supposed to meet with them again years after the experiment. And of course, he passed away.
But do we know if he did?
Yeah, just Google Gene Roddenberry and the Council of Nine. Apparently it's a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing.
Yeah.
Do we
I
know
thought it
if
was
he
fabulous.
did that second meeting though, Michelle, and he didn't publicize it?
I don't know. I thought I read that he had passed before he got the opportunity to.
No, I understand that, but maybe like he really did see them the second time and he didn't tell anyone.
All right, let's face it, Star Trek
I'm
lives
saying
on.
that like it's just the three of us talking.
Star Trek still lives on. Obviously, it's a good thing, but
yeah.
So we have races. I always caught myself that we have races that live among us. So what is your take on the hybrids that live among us? Could they be like your next door neighbor, or are we looking for somebody maybe more extreme looking?
I think both. All right.
Okay.
So there have been reports of people that have seen. They said extraterrestrials. They thought these people came from, somewhere else in the galaxy, and maybe some of them did. For example, the tall whites, which were written extensively about by Charles Hall, who said he interacted with them. But with the hybrids, if it's true that we have had extraterrestrials living among us for so long, and we don't, and some of them, from my research, you can't tell them apart from humans. Some of them you can barely, and I've seen some strange humans. And now, after I started this research, I was like, I would have to tell you this story sometimes.
Right.
Maybe that was it. But yeah, I forget the question, but I believe that they are here. They could be out there. And I believe that they're being seen more and more, or they've always been seen and we didn't know because we didn't have the cell phones. But these days, people are going online and they're saying, and they're not getting anything out of this. They're not getting money. They're not getting, famous. But I've seen some very concerned people say, this one guy, I was standing in line at Home Depot the other day, and I thought he was going to cry when he was making the tape. He said, I turned around and I just saw, this man kind of change momentarily, and his eyes were weird. And the man recognized that the guy
Noticed.
noticed.
Oh,
and
no.
he says, look, I don't want any trouble.
Nah.
Make a living
Right.
here, just trying to make a living here, just like anyone else. And this guy was so shaken up, and I've seen a couple of those by different people from different areas of the world who saw something strange. So I forget your question, but I do believe that they're here, and I believe that they have to be quiet or they would be killed. All right. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think there have been things going on, and there's some rumors of experiments going on with some of these, scientists on Earth having done experiments with, extraterrestrials, and these could
Right.
be the results, or maybe some of them came to live here. Maybe there have been beings from other worlds, as far out as it sounds, and had to
Right.
come here to colonize. I'm telling you, this man named Charles Hall, he's written about it. He said he was working when he was in the military with extraterrestrials known as the tall whites, and
Mhm.
he talked about them, where they're living. Who knows if they had any interactions with humans, and can we mix breed and all that stuff? Who knows? So
Mhm.
I believe it could be a thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
I saw something, and I'm not going to explain what it was because I've only ever told Michelle about this. I haven't told anyone else, so she'll know what I'm talking about.
Along with
That
3 million other people.
Hmm?
Go ahead, Bubbles, say
No,
it.
I'm not. I've never talked about this. I'm not
No, I
going
know.
to share what I saw.
Oh, I see,
I'm
okay.
just going to tell you that it was a being, and I told Michelle about this because it threw me off, and it's the reason why I did a double take. But as soon as we locked eyes, then it was gone.
How'd it look?
Female.
So, do we think that, I mean, there are beings out there that do you think they're really shape-shifting, or do you think they are projecting outwards thoughts as to how they want us to see them? Do you
Mm.
think it's more a projection of how they want us to see them?
I think it could be a projection. It's all technology, right?
Right.
And sometimes
Mm.
it fails, or for whatever reason,
Telepathy.
right? Fails or right. Fails or falls. And we get a insight.
Mhm.
Remember that story not too long ago of the woman on the airplane with
That's what we're talking about, yeah.
she was just freaking out, and then supposedly she came forward and said, "Oh, I was having an anxiety attack and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so." But then recently, gosh, just a few nights ago, I saw another film from that flight. Did you see it? It was a
No.
guy who was also upset, and this has come out. And so, apparently he saw something, and whoever this person was obviously was harmless, but they looked so different. They could have been a hybrid.
Mhm.
And, they're living among us, and these people saw it and they freaked out. And it's not the first time this has happened. There
Mhm.
was another gentleman on a flight who I think he was Asian. I don't know if he was, what Chinese, or I couldn't tell. I don't remember the story, or Taiwanese. I just don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was speaking in a language I didn't understand, but someone was translating it, and he was saying that he had seen someone looked
Mm.
different, and
Well,
yeah,
so much for the Roddenberry experiment. Apparently, we're not everybody does really well with this.
Mm.
no, I mean,
Unless it looks, somebody looks like, you or me, or,
I think that we need to talk about it because it's kept out of the mainstream media, but it's all over. It seems to be all over everywhere else. I can't believe some of the things I'm seeing.
Sorry, I'm like sweating here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, what's your take on cryptids? Because if we're a seeded planet, which is one of the theories you talk about in your book, it's not limited to just humans.
No. Okay, so there's a couple of things. I don't know if I talked about this before, earlier, because it's been a while, but I do believe that there are beings. Did I say this already? There are beings around us that we cannot see
Yeah, no,
in the physical.
yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Our sights only go but so far, how far we can see in the physical body. So
Right.
there are beings around us, and sometimes we think they are ghosts. I was saying earlier to someone that I have felt someone sit on my bed. All
Right.
right. And I knew there was no one there, but everyone calls it a ghost. Everything's not a ghost. We just can't
Right.
see everything and everyone around us. I believe Earth is full of life that we cannot see. I believe that the galaxy is full of life that
Right.
we are not allowed to see until the time comes for
Mhm.
that massive first contact or massive disclosure. I believe some of that's kept from us. But as far as cryptids, yes, I believe that there are beings that have been living alongside of us, probably beneath the earth, most likely beneath the earth, that are now coming forward, and we're seeing them. There's these, I'm not a real cryptid person as far as research,
Right.
but something freaked me out so bad that I started looking into it more. It's not that I didn't know they were out there. I just didn't have a lot of information. So I keep seeing these pale white beings in videos. All right. You know how you can't get a good video of Bigfoot?
Right.
Well, we've got videos of these pale white creatures. All right. These things crawl around on their knees. They look humanoid. No, I shouldn't say humanoid. They have legs, arms, and a head.
Really long limbs, though, aren't they?
Long limbs, and they crawl and they move really fast. And I've heard, like, the first time I saw it, I was watching something on Facebook, and it was several stories at one time. And I saw this thing in the dark bushes, someone in their car had purposely sat there. It looked like they were waiting for this thing to come out, and it started coming across out of the bushes, dirt in a wooded area, and dirt and everything. And I thought, if this is a hoax, I just can't imagine that someone's dressed up in white crawling through bushes for this extensive a hoax. And then someone writes, oh yeah, those things live in caves. And I say, wait, what? And so, long story short, they're called pale crawlers. All right.
I've heard about the crawlers. Yeah.
And I've seen several videos, and I think I have put some aside because I thought about writing a book on them. So one guy, after my research and looking into these things, I just couldn't believe it. But they're very frail, and they're harmless.
Right.
But this one guy,
creepy, right?
Sorry,
They look scary, like right now.
Yeah. So this one guy. But, this has been a while now since I researched it. So I knew what he saw, but he didn't know what he saw. There was this one guy with a video, and he says, I see an alien on my roof. There's an alien on my roof. And I'm like, an alien on his roof? And then he put the camera on it. And it was one of those same things. And the thing was on his roof. And it was looking down at the camera. It was like, whoa, whoops. And he went crawling onto the other side of the roof and down. He says, I just filmed an alien. I'm thinking to myself,
well, I mean,
they are around. Those are not, and people are reporting seeing them. One lady reported seeing in a parking lot. One person saw it scaling a wall who's in Louisiana? I don't want to scare you all. One of you is in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, the show. Yeah, Joe is, yes.
Yeah. So, and they're being seen more and more, and I've seen more people with video. They're out there. I think they've been there the whole time.
They have these sort of almost like the faces are very like sunken in a little bit. Do you know, I saw someone captured a photograph in a cave. So when you say they're found in caves, and they had something that resembled what you're describing, because they had part of the hand out, and they were just like this, and they had that face all like chalk white with this like sunken in features, and all you can see is part of this long limb. So that's kind of wiggy.
Yeah,
but we leave the cave. It's more wiggy.
Right? So yeah, someone said don't go in caves by yourself. But
caves, though.
Where they come from? All right, someone dropping things off, cryptids off here on Earth?
I think you should go in a cave by yourself and leave your partner outside in case you get stuck.
Somebody's got to be able to come back and get you. But
yeah, exactly.
But Claudette makes a good point with the skinwalkers. Do you think they could be skinwalkers? Yeah, because they're kind of wonky looking like that. Like Wendigos and stuff are wonky.
Skinwalkers only one kind of look, or do they have a different appearance depending where they're coming from or what lore they're is being told?
Different people had different descriptions. I think maybe it's perception. I don't know.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know much about them.
Yeah, I don't either, to be honest.
Either way, stay in the damn cave.
Stay in it. Make sure you have people posted outside if you go in.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Even if there's 10 of you inside, make sure there's 10 outside, because
in numbers.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know. So Let's talk quickly because I know we're slowly infringing on our last 15 minutes. Stargates.
Yeah. Another
Right.
I love them.
one of my favorite subjects too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I believe that the extraterrestrials are using, the name of my chapter 8 is The Cosmic Freeway, Stargates, Portals, and Wormholes. Um, so this is a kind of technology that obviously, extraterrestrials who are rather advanced could use. It's something we don't understand, but I can say that it's not something that's so far-fetched because NASA actually has information on an idea of how wormholes could be used to travel the universe. And I believe that that is how extraterrestrials are traveling the universe. Because, today we have scientists who continually say there's no way anything can come across all those thousands of, miles to get here.
Mhm.
Take
The light
thousands of
years,
years,
yeah.
blah,
The
blah, blah.
asteroid belt
And
would
they're
sort of do some
here.
damage. Yeah.
They're
Right.
Yeah, I
here.
agree with you.
We have photos of
Yeah.
strange ships and no one knows where they came from. Here, I believe that that's how they're traveling. So they've got the wormholes and then they've got the stargates on each end. But it's not a new idea. Going back to ancient times, the ancients talked about the gods. They thought they were gods coming and going through
Yes.
through doorways. They were not only flying in, they were walking in. I mean, they could see ships and lights disappearing in the sky, which indicates some sort of portal. But on Earth, there were doors that people were going through and coming out of. And around the world, there are places where these stargates were believed to have been activated and are not activated anymore.
Mm.
And then there are areas where some think there are activated stargates still here on Earth. But for the ones traveling the universe, I believe it's like us traveling a kind of a freeway, and we have regulations here on Earth on our freeways, right? I can't talk anymore. Gosh. But so I believe that someone out there really is in charge of this very advanced technology. And I think when we finally start traveling the stars, really, reach that Star Trek point in our lives, we're going to be open to see all really that's going on and that has been going on around us. I know people think it sounds like fantasy, but I
No, because some people can do it just through astral projection. Just through having out of body experiences, they can see things like that. Remote viewers can see things like that.
That's right.
But
That's
I think
right.
it's just
We do it all the time, right? Through
the common folk, it's like, okay, but I truly believe that we have that ability, that maybe that is a gift. If they have evolved us, then part of that process would be gifting us with all of these senses that we just have to tap back into, because I believe we've been suppressed. And I believe people all have the potential to do it. And that is a universal language of
agree.
ET races.
I agree. I mean, I'm off planet when I sleep. I've been projecting for years. Astral project. I've seen a ship when I was astral projecting. It was beautiful. Just nothing like we've seen in pictures here. The thing was divine. Just nothing you could imagine. And I knew it was a ship. And I was awake. I wake up consciously in my travels, and I've been to other dimensions. I said that on one show once, and somebody told the host, "So keep the crazies off your show."
Right. Yeah,
It's
what the heck?
again,
You're in good
ostrich.
company tonight, Constance. I
Ostrich.
promise. So are you an experiencer? Contactee yourself?
So I believe that we all have guides around us. I call them my star guides. I
Right.
can feel energies around me, especially often when it comes to thoughts and writing and ideas. And I saw, I've seen things in my astral travel. So not too long ago, I saw a group of female star people who were humanoid, but they were not exactly like us. Their eyes were much different.
Mhm.
And I've been looking for them. I've got books and of descriptions of ETs, like I said earlier, but I can't find them. But
Right.
it looked like something was wrong with me. They were trying to help with something, and one was going one direction, one was going quickly in the other direction. The one was right in front of me, and I can remember her so well. I don't know who they were. I don't know if they are my star guides or somebody else, but where I was when I saw them, I've traveled to astrally before.
Right.
So I've been there, a few times, but I had never seen them until it seemed like I was ill. I've heard that we have friends that we don't remember on the other side, and that some of us are
Our soul
extraterrestrials,
circle, right?
right, are embodied, and that
Yeah.
some of us may be in stasis somewhere where we have that spirit or soul part of us has left our body, maybe on a ship, and come to Earth to do work here and then go back. So there may be not only people on the other side that we know, but we may have, this gets really complicated, incarnated into another life and then come here as well. And I wonder, did I know them from that, because I felt connected, but I haven't seen. So that's one experience. Then when I was 14, I mean, this was like recently that I saw them, but when I was young and 14, I was close to death, and their being appeared in front of me. It was looked like a swirling cloud, and it kind of dissipated, and this being stepped out. And he was beckoning me to come. Some people think it was an angel. I don't think it was an angel, and I've studied angels. I always felt it was someone else, but I didn't know who or what.
Right.
Now I'm wondering if it was an ET, because I do know you can see extraterrestrials in near-death experiences. So, but to answer your question, I have not had gray aliens in my bedroom.
No, but being an experiencer of because I've had an experiencer, but not just grays.
Okay. No,
So,
it doesn't have to be,
yeah.
but people will
Oh
say.
no, that's what I mean. Like, yeah. I mean, I believe that there are so many races here that are trying to reach out, and I think if you're receptive, it can definitely happen. But we're already there. I mean, I can't believe the time has just like whizzed right by as always, and it was so nice to have you here.
So much fun.
But
Thank
nice to
you.
spend the evening with you and listen to all of your incredible research in the
Thank you so
books.
much. Thank you.
Right. I'm going to put your website back up here. Where can people find your books, Constance?
Amazon. That's the
Okay.
easiest way for people to go. But if you, for whatever reason, can't go there, it's under Adventures Unlimited Press. That's my publishing company. And you can also just Google it. Pops up on so many bookstores. Just Google the book. You can get it.
That's
Yeah.
what you're looking for right here. And what do you have coming up? Promote.
Oh gosh. I'm trying to get a YouTube channel up, so look for that. I'm on Instagram. I'm trying to get that more stuff up on there. I am on Facebook. You can look me up, Constance Victoria Briggs there.
Right.
Promoting, I don't have any new books coming out yet. So that's it for now.
Right.
There's
Oh,
still so much to talk about. That is really fascinating. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thanks for having me. I love coming on your show, ladies. I really do. So
you
much
just have to keep us in mind, because I noticed you have other books. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. The Unseen World might be a good one to talk about.
Yes.
Okay.
I say let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
No arm twisting with that one. So, everybody, okay, we're going to bring Constance back. Yes, show of hands. Yes. Okay, good.
Thank you, ladies.
We adore you.
Thank you. Me to you.
And I
All
will be
right.
in touch with links and so on, and we will schedule a date.
Yep, I would love it. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, ladies. Bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye. Well, everyone, we have come to the end of a fantastic segment. Wasn't it great? Isn't she
Oh my
wonderful?
gosh. Yes.
We always have so much fun with her. So big thank you to Constance Victoria Briggs for coming on and talking to us about her book. Again, for those who are listening and not watching, Earth's Galactic History and Its Extraterrestrial Connection, which can be found on Amazon. and Google it. Check out her website. Hint, hint, she'd make a great guest if anybody's considering and looking. So now, Wednesday night, we welcome back Mark DeWoodziak, and this guy's great. He's a hoot. He's been on 2 or 3 times, and he's just so much fun and so knowledgeable. You just have to check out his archives. You have a week to do it. Anyway, this time he's coming on to discuss his book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in the Twilight Zone. It's his lighthearted 2017 tribute to Rod Serling's classic anthology series. Now, what's interesting about the Twilight Zone is there's a lot of like little mysteries about it. So, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of digging as well, so we can just really get some answers, but especially with the movie, one of the last movies. So go in, have a look, put your questions together, and we'll meet next Wednesday night. And Thursday night we welcome back, after a really long hiatus, like 2021, I believe Amelia was saying tonight, Dr. Rita Louise, and she's got a book on awareness. And it's brand new, and she's really delightful. She's just also really, really knowledgeable. So come on out and check her out. You guys are going to love her as much as we do. In fact, we love her so much, we have several dates booked with her right up until the end of the year. Just saying. So have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thank you to everybody in chat.
Yeah.
You all make it that much more fun. We do try to get to the comments, but we have like 7 chat rooms. Roku doesn't have one. But for those of you guys who have Roku TV, the archive will end up there as well, and you get to watch there, but you don't get to participate. So anyway, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Good night.